today I wanted to take a little look at some stuff that you guys sent me on various social media platforms that I had never heard of before in America. I specifically asked for the most random things that I've never heard of, and you guys did not disappoint. Normally when I do these type of videos, I have a screen grab of who sent me it and where, but I just kind of lost track of things because I started a second channel. In case you didn't know, it's very different. You can go check it out after this if you like. So I just kind of wrote the things down and I'll be reacting to them live today. Well, not live, but you're there and I'm here. Before I get into the video, here's me with your customary Irish curse. If you don't subscribe or like the video, that's perfectly fine, but you will step on a piece of Lego in your house. And if you don't have Lego, Lego will appear. So it's up to you. Okay, the first thing is the one that started it all off. I found out that you guys have tax booths at Walmart. What? I can't explain to you how bizarre this concept seems to me. Okay, so in Ireland and throughout the rest of Europe, most of us have accountants who do our things for us if you're self-employed or if you run any kind of limited company. If you work for another company, all your tax is done for you mostly. But I do appreciate in America, pretty much everybody has to do their tax themselves. So it's difficult, and I guess it's made more convenient if you can do it at your local grocery store. It just seems really strange though that you can go to your grocery store and do something as important as tax. Mind you, it really fits with the American way of life of getting things done when and where you want them. Have it done now. And in fact, it probably reminds people if they're passing somewhere and they can get their tax done just in there, it's handy. I get it, but it still seems weird. I would say it's sort of akin to getting your passport in McDonald's. Something along those lines. Now, when I posted this up on social media, everybody responded with all the other crazy things that Walmart has. And most of them I was like, okay, you can get your eyes tested at Walmart, fine. You can get a hearing test, some of you even have doctors. But what did blow me away was that you can get your COVID test or indeed your COVID vaccination at Walmart. Talk about convenient. The reason this blows my mind is because in the rest of Europe, first of all, with the testing, we don't do it as readily as you guys do in America. Generally speaking, if I start to feel unwell with symptoms of COVID, I'm advised to just stay home. You probably have COVID. Don't leave your house for 2 weeks. Some people do, of course, get COVID tests, but you have to kind of go out of your way to get them. They're just not everywhere like they seem to be in America. And as for the COVID vaccination, well, that's a whole other story. Ireland's not doing so well on that one at the moment. We have a very limited amount of COVID vaccinations available. You might think because Ireland's so small, yes, they could get us all vaccinated really quickly, but there just isn't that much supply available to our tiny country. As of shooting this video, only about 100,000 people in Ireland have been vaccinated so far, which is kind of pathetic, really. So that's mostly the people age 85 and older and our frontline workers, people who work in healthcare, nurses and doctors. So the fact that you can just go into Walmart and just pick up a vaccine is like, consider yourselves blessed, America, because that is nifty. I said nifty in a sentence. I'm okay with it. We could bring it back. It's nifty. The next thing that blew my mind, and I saw this one first hand in America, and I have to say, it's most definitely random as yeah, I cursed. It needed it. Drive-through liquor stores. Let me tell you, those would not work in Ireland. They would not work at all. First of all, obviously, you're not supposed to be drinking when you're driving, so presumably you pick up the liquor and then you go home. But there's always that temptation to just start drinking in the car. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't drink and drive. On a side note, I find myself watching a lot of American films where they're at a party and they're supposedly drinking and then they get in the car and it's not even a point of conversation. They just do it, or they go out Or like they go out for dinner and they just get in the car and they start driving. I know there's probably different quotas of how much you're allowed to drink, but I still think it's really funny to see it on screen all the time. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Alcohol is way more expensive in Ireland, and actually in the UK too, than it is in America. Here in Spain, it is actually quite cheap too. The idea that you could go to a drive-thru and just pick up some alcohol in your car is so alien to me, an Irish person. I can definitely see how it's handy, but they are trying to deter us in Ireland through how much everything costs from drinking so much alcohol. They've put huge taxes on alcohol, which is why it's so expensive. Also, I spoke recently how in Ireland you can't buy alcohol in a store after 10 p.m. in the evening anywhere in Ireland. You can buy it in a pub or a restaurant, but not in a store. So a drive-through liquor store is so convenient, and admirably so, but also dangerous. That is something that would not work in Ireland. We would just find that too handy. We would abuse that system. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you think below. The next thing, I'm gonna have to group a lot of your things into one group because it's your weird AF flavors of things. On a side note, you also have really weird names for things that seem to be straightforward. Like in Ireland, we'll call it orange juice, but in America, you'll call it tropical, popical, sun-kissed dew juice. You like fancy names. In America, I can get a mad flavor of pretty much anything. I can get a unicorn latte, and actually I want a unicorn latte, but I actually suspect it wouldn't actually taste as good as it actually looks. Also, I said actually a lot just there, sorry. There are so many examples of this, but I'm gonna use Oreos as my point of access. You have cheeseburger flavor Oreos, you have waffle and syrup flavor Oreos, and get this, I'm actually pretty sure this one is fake, but I saw it online. College flavor Oreos, which supposedly taste like pot noodle and weed. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that one's a joke, but still, you get the idea. You can get flavors of anything in America. Next up, I know I've highlighted before that you guys have crazy ad for pharmaceuticals and lawyers, which we don't have in Ireland or in the rest of Europe, but you also have ads for doctors, actual medically licensed doctors. First of all, I would want to question why a doctor needs to advertise. I mean, surely they're getting enough patients. But maybe not. I guess it's a business like anything else. It's just something we don't do in Europe. We don't advertise doctors. Moving on swiftly, I want to look at Halloween cards. That's an actual thing. Do you actually send Halloween cards? Because I've definitely seen them with people and their babies dressed up like pumpkins, and that is cute as a button, but do you actually do it? See, Halloween is a whole holiday over in America, so you have this whole industry revolving around it, which we don't. I definitely would never send anybody a Halloween card. I do think it's nice, but it's also really strange. Is it like Christmas? Like when your friend sends you one, you have to send one back? Or is it just like, oh, these people send Halloween cards and we don't, but that's okay. Next up, you guys are allowed to advertise cigarettes and tobacco inside of shops. So you've had the same laws as we've had in Europe. They're not allowed to put advertisements on the TV or on billboards for cigarettes and tobacco, but apparently they are allowed to put them inside of shops. And I'm gonna read to you the guidelines on that now. I couldn't believe this when somebody told me. I've not seen it for myself, but I think it's pretty wild. Cigarette and tobacco ads can be placed in a retail establishment as long as it is not displayed on the back or front of any windows. Large and regular cigar brands can be advertised via radio or TV as long as these ads fall under the guidelines and jurisdictions of the FCC. Actually didn't know that last part. That's crazy. I thought we were supposed to be trying to filter that out. That was a pun, huh? The next thing that you guys have, and I didn't get this one from anyone, this came out of my head. I've seen it on a lot of social media lately. You guys can make anything into a cake. There was recently a trend going around of, is it a cake or is it a thing? And I could definitely tell that all of these cakes had to come from America, because nobody in Europe is going to devote that much time to making a cake that looks like a thing that isn't a cake. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. I have to say kudos to those people because they are very talented. Like, those things legitimately look like the thing that they're supposed to be. Also, I think it's kind of a cute hobby. If anybody has that hobby, it's very cool. This next one I did see for myself. Your trains are not just trains. They go on for miles. Miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. I actually couldn't believe it. When I was in California with my producer, we got stuck on the side of a train that was going past at an intersection, and I was kind of thinking, okay, it'll be a couple of minutes. We sat there for, I'm not even kidding you, about 15 minutes waiting for this train to pass. It was crazy long. I guess it makes sense because a lot more produce needs to get shifted in a direction with the size of America, but no less, I found it insane how big and long that train was. Those lengths of trains do not exist in Europe. And the number one random AF thing that I have ever heard of coming out of America is exotic dancers who deliver your food. What? Okay, I get it. We're in a funny time right now. Businesses need to think on their feet. A lot of exotic dancing clubs are closed. Is that the right term? Exotic dancing. So apparently they have compensated by having food delivery specifically from these ladies, and I presume gents, although the people in my comments were talking specifically about ladies delivering things like chicken wings and stuff. Now I would presume maybe you could get them to do a little dance while they're there, but would they have to wear a mask? It sort of takes away from the allure of it all, but that's just my opinion. I'm not necessarily their target demographic. So yeah, those are 10 really random things that I heard you guys have. Thanks to everybody who shared stuff with me. I do enjoy when we interact with one another on social media, so feel free to reach out and tweet me or Facebook me or Insta, I don't know, I can't keep track of all the social media, but yeah, do. So because NBC blocked the video tonight, I have to do the shout out. This is Editor Chewy. Today we want to shout out the Karmic Goals crew over on Patreon. They're all lovely human beings, unlike me, and this is all of their names, so hooray for them.
What the? That's the happiest I ever seen, Editor Mommy. She must really mean it. Thanks, you guys. You're the best.
And that's it for today. I'll see you on the other side. Bye. A lot of people have been saying they're weirded out by my girl with the pearl earring. She's not looking at you. Or is she? I'm really sorry about the seagulls. There's not a whole lot I can do to stop them from crowing. The seagulls crow. Ah. Okay, I think they finished their loop. It's your birthday coming up in America. You could have your own birthday place, like they have places for parties for dogs. That's really random, but very cool.